All right, everybody, welcome back to another thing of the week. It's probably been like 2 months since I've uploaded one of these, but we're doing one now. It has just been way too long since I've done one. And with the NBA trade deadline coming up, I thought I'd talk about the Nuggets and what they need to do at the deadline. So the Nuggets right now, I'm recording this on Tuesday night. They're sitting at 28 and 18, which is fine. They're fourth in the West, and considering the start that they had at the beginning of the season, it's pretty good. The fact that they're 10 games above 500 right now, and overall they've actually been pretty good since January turn. They've been really good. They're 7-3 in their last 10. One of those losses was a game without Nikola Jokic, so they're doing pretty good. But these last two losses have really made me rethink what this team is. So right now, the Nuggets, they have a top five offensive rating, right? And coming into this last weekend, they were middle of the pack defensively. They were about 15th. The last 2 days have dropped them down to 19th. And that's not good. And again, their net rating is fine, right? It's plus 4.3, which is seventh in the NBA. But it's not good enough. When you watch the team, you can tell they just do not have. They don't have it. They don't have it this season. And you're probably wondering, like, oh, Richie, what are you talking about, right? When Denver won the championship, they were 15th in defense. They had a similar defensive rating. They were sixth in net rating over the course of the year. They were worse offensively. So why are you thinking that they don't have it this year? It's pretty simple, man. It's the eye test. I hate bringing out the eye test, but it is strictly the eye test. When you watch them, that defense looks like a bottom 10, bottom 5 defense in the league. It's not like Jokic. It's not because of Jokic, like everyone's saying, right? Jokic does not help it. Like he has not been a good rim protector this season, and he has had some games that have been really bad. Specifically, the last two in the paint. It's like he's allergic to putting his hands up. It's ridiculous. He is part of the issue, but he's not the issue. The issue is a much bigger deal. I spoke about this when I said, hey, should Denver trade for Zach LaVine or no? And the issues right now are why I'm like there's no way you can justify trading for Zach LaVine when you have issues that are this freaking large. Their last game against Chicago is one that I'm like you have to point to that one as where it's like this iteration of the team is not going to get it done. Right? This roster is just not going to get it done. You do not go into a game against Chicago. Chicago's not awful, right? They're not an awful team, but they're not a good one, right? They're a bad team. But the formula that they have is we're just going to chuck threes, and they're a good shooting team. That is the issue. If Denver plays a team that shoots a lot of threes, they will lose because teams generate such good looks against them from three. It's unbelievable, and it's because the guards simply cannot stay in front of their defenders. You get one good screen on the point of attack guy, and it's a free bucket, right? They're either getting straight to the rim or their drive and Jokic has to come up and help, or the weak side, strong side defender has to come and help. And it's an easy corner three, or they get the defense in rotation. And Denver has not been good team in rotation this season. It's really bad. Teams are attempting the fifth most threes in the league against Denver. They're averaging almost 43-point attempts a game when you play Denver. The percentage isn't phenomenal. Denver's top 10 in the league in defensive 3-point percentage. But still, when you get up that many threes, it's just going to be a math problem because you are going to make more threes than Denver is. And when you get the same amount of possessions, because Denver doesn't force a ton of turnovers, that's an issue. They're middle of the pack in turnovers, right? They're only 16th. And that's not their game. And it's such a shame because Denver is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. But they just don't take enough compared to everyone else. And it's just a math problem that they cannot solve with this roster. They're number one in field goals made. They're number one in team field goal percentage. They're number one in 2-pointers attempted and 2-pointers made. And they're number 4 in 3-point percentage. It doesn't matter. So Denver loses by 8 to Chicago last time. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. They lose by 8, yet they make more shots. They shoot better from the field. They make it to the free throw line more, and they make more free throws. They didn't miss. They were 11-11 from the free throw line. They only get out rebounded by 5, which is marginal in today's NBA. They commit less turnovers, and they have 84 points in the paint compared to less than 40 for Chicago. Yet they lose because they only make 6 threes. May take a wild guess how many Chicago made. Chicago made 24. Denver was minus 54 from the three-point line. Minus 54. It is not the first game this season where something like this has happened either. They just get straight blitzed when teams shoot a lot of threes because they can't guard it. That's one of the issues. They also can't rebound the ball to save their lives, right? They're a bottom half team in defensive rebound percentage. They suck at two really, really bad things. 3-point defense and defensive rebounding, right? Those are two things you cannot be bad at if you are a championship contender. It is a weird take to have at this point in the year because they're coming off of two bad losses. But if you take those losses out, since Denver lost to Phoenix on Christmas, they've actually been pretty good. They've only had one actual loss, and that was to San Antonio. And that was a bad one. But the only other two losses they had were to Boston without Jokic and to Houston without Jokic and Aaron Gordon. So like it really wasn't. This team is not playing bad at this moment. But if you just watch them, you can tell they just don't have it right now, man. They just do not have it. So I think come trade deadline, it's February 8th. It's next Saturday. About a week and a half away from it. Denver needs to get a little bit greedy and go get a defender or go get a legit rebounder. You need at least one of those two. Who that's going to be, I don't know, right? I don't know. The news that came out today about De'Aaron Fox potentially wanting out of a trade is intriguing because Denver doesn't need to go get De'Aaron Fox. But if that news creates a ripple effect over the next week and a half, potentially you can go get someone like Keon Ellis, who might be available in case Sacramento is just willing to blow it all up come next Saturday. Keon Ellis is a name that I was wanting Denver to look at earlier in the season when Sacramento was struggling and Mike Brown was coaching because he wasn't playing. Ever since Doug Christie took over, it's been the opposite. He's the only guy I can think of who might be available because Denver, they are lacking in the biggest area. It's not that they have bad perimeter defenders. It's they have horrible screen navigators and they can't stay in front of their guys. It's just, I don't know who they would trade for, but they need to make a trade. Like, I'm confident in this team in a playoff series against almost anybody, right? And it's because of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Those two have shown me way more times than not that they can win you a playoff series by themselves. They can do it, right? It is literally everybody else that I'm afraid of. Will Michael Porter Jr. show up, right? He just had two back-to-back bad games in games where you can't afford it. Specifically the one against Minnesota. That's the third or fourth time this season where the physicality of the game has just straight up completely taken him out of it. He's not doing anything defensively. He's not imposing his will on the glass. And he can't get a shot off against anybody. The Houston game was very, very similar. He has not looked great in the moments that you've wanted him to look great. In these high leverage situations, he has not looked good. And you can go back to every single playoff run that he's had. It's been the exact same thing. That is a big time issue. Do I think getting rid of him is the right move? I don't know, because he is the reason why their offense is top 5 and why they're averaging 120 points a game, which is ridiculous. But when it comes to the playoffs, he is a big, big if. The other big if is Julian Strawther. I don't think he is a playoff caliber rotation player yet. I think he's at the same spot that Peyton Watson was at last year, where it's, listen, situationally, I think he can play well. But like Peyton Watson, he was so bad on offense, you couldn't afford to put him in there. Julian Strawther is so bad on defense, you cannot afford to put him in there, even if he is making shots. He's the guy who I think that's the only asset that Denver has right now. He is the only asset that Denver has right now. That's if they don't want to give up Michael Porter Jr., which I think it would be rash to give up on him this season. Going to the playoffs, he has another stinker. Go for it. I think it should be open market on him. Not because I don't like him. I think he's a great player. And he's done everything right, but he cannot. You can't keep relying on someone like that if it keeps going in that direction. But Julian Strawther, he's a young piece. You don't know if he's ready yet. If there is someone on a contending team or on a bad team who would be willing to give up a piece, I think you got to go for it. I really, really do. I'll make another video next week talking more specifically about what trade targets I'd like to look at for Denver. I'll do more research on it, and I'll get an actual list of people, whether it isn't a legit backup center or a legit backup power forward or just another guard defender that they can put out there. I will do that, but as of right now, they have to make a trade. They don't need to panic. They don't need to trade Michael Porter Jr., but they need to do something. This is what you're paying Calvin Booth to do. They got to figure it out. They have to figure it out. Because my biggest concern with the team, it's effort. defensive effort it wanes so easily with the team. They're up 10 in the third quarter against Chicago, and they just stop playing defense. Chicago goes on a 13-0 run. They take the lead. Denver takes the lead to go into the fourth, and then immediately they go on a 13-0 run again. And then suddenly you're down 15 points out of nowhere. Out of nowhere against a team that has no business beating you at this point in the season. That is my biggest concern. Effort is something that should not have to be coached. In the NBA, you should play hard, especially if you're a bench player and especially if you're not relied heavily on offensively, like Julian Strawther, like Christian Brown does play hard, but his defense has been iffy throughout the season. Michael Porter Jr.'s defensive effort has been bad. Jamal Murray's defensive effort has been bad. Aaron Gordon's defensive effort, since he said that he's good and his calf is fine, has been awful. He doesn't look 100% out there. There are legit concerns that I have defensively with this team. Even Jokic. Jokic is also, he is not absent from criticism in this entire situation. He is a big reason why they just lost these last 2 games. Specifically the one against Minnesota. That was pitiful. Like, straight up embarrassing. And they need to make a change. They need to make a change. They need to do something to get the juice back. They just need something to get the juice back. Because it is such an arbitrary way of describing it. But they don't have the juice. They literally do not have the juice to compete for a championship this season. When you think about it personnel-wise, when they won the championship, right, you had 2 really, really good guard defenders, and then you had your wing, lengthy, versatile guy in Aaron Gordon. I think you have 2 good guard defenders right now. You have Christian Brown, and you have Russell Westbrook. There is no third guy. They had Bruce Brown, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Those are the 3 guys who you could rely on defensively, and that made a huge difference. Right now, it's Brown, Russell Westbrook, and that's it. That's it. Peyton Watson is another lengthy, versatile guy that you can put on wings and you can put in the dunker spot. You can use as a weak side shot protector or rim protector. But he can't guard guards yet. He's a little too slow and he's a little too weak to be able to consistently be at the point of attack. Julian Strawther is bad. They don't have anyone else. There's no one else that you can rely on out there. They need to go get somebody. So if getting Julian Strawther out there, which is a non-rotational player, to go get a rotational player, if that's what you have to do to maximize this window over the next year and a half, then you have to do it. You absolutely have to do it because I truly believe the Western Conference right now is pretty open. I'm not a huge believer in Oklahoma City when it comes to the playoffs. I don't think any other team in the West can compete with Denver besides Oklahoma City. And if you go get another guard defender, you go get some more perimeter defense, you go get some effort, they can make another run. But they do not have that right now, and they need. It's not on the roster. It is not on the roster. So this video is all over the place. Apologize about that. But I'll make another more nuanced one next week. But yeah, this is my knee-jerk reaction to whatever happened the last 2 games. I wasn't truly a believer of what they were doing. I can pull up receipts to second group chat. Denver was playing stinky teams, right? They were playing stinky teams, and they were getting away with it. But the second they play a good one or a team that plays hard, plays with effort, and isn't bad like Minnesota, they are cooked. And the second they play a team that, doesn't just give up and plays hard throughout the entire game, but is bad like Chicago, same thing happens. They lose. And yeah, everyone is at fault for it. Malone's at fault. Jokic, Murray, Porter, Gordon, everyone, right? Everyone is at fault for it. But they have to go make a move. They don't have a choice. They have to go make a move. If they don't make a move, it is going to be extremely, extremely disappointing. I will be very, very disappointed if they don't make a move. And I will not be a believer that they can go win a championship if they don't make a move. So yeah, that's the video. Hopefully it gives some sort of insight into my thoughts. I know it was so all over the place, but yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.